Welcome back to AI Search Explained by Rank4AI. I'm Adam Parker. Today, we're diving into something that's affecting every business right now: how to restructure your website so AI systems can actually recommend you to potential customers.
And this isn't theoretical anymore, is it? We're seeing businesses lose recommendations in ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude. Real revenue impact because their websites aren't structured for how these systems read and interpret information.
Exactly. Through our research at Rank4AI, we've audited hundreds of UK businesses, and the pattern is clear. Traditional website structures that worked for Google search are failing when AI systems try to understand what you actually do. The way these systems parse information is fundamentally different.
So what's actually breaking? When we talk to business owners, what should they be looking for on their own websites?
The biggest issue I see is context fragmentation. Most websites scatter key information across multiple pages: your services on one page, your location on another, your credentials somewhere else. When ChatGPT or Perplexity tries to understand your business, it can't piece together a complete picture.
That makes sense, but practically speaking, how do you fix that without rebuilding everything? Most of our clients don't have massive budgets for complete website overhauls.
You don't need to rebuild. You need to restructure how information connects. I've found that AI systems like Gemini and Claude look for what I call contextual clusters, related information that sits together and reinforces each other.
Can you give me a concrete example? Let's say I'm running a marketing consultancy in Manchester.
Perfect example. Instead of having separate pages for services, about, and case studies, you'd restructure around what you actually solve. So you might have marketing strategy for SaaS companies, and that page includes your methodology, relevant case studies, team credentials, and local context all in one place. But that sounds like it could create really long, unwieldy pages. How do you balance AI comprehension with user experience? That's the key challenge. Through testing across different AI systems, I found they actually prefer structured depth over scattered brevity. You use clear section headers, bullet points, and what I call progressive disclosure: the essential information up front, then deeper details for those who need them.
We've seen this work in practice. One client restructured their legal services website this way. Instead of generic family law and commercial law pages, they created problem-specific clusters: divorce for high-net-worth individuals, commercial property disputes. The AI systems could finally understand exactly what they solved. And that specificity is crucial. When someone asks ChatGPT or Perplexity for help with a commercial property dispute in leads, the AI system needs to find that exact match on your website, not piece it together from fragments across multiple pages. So you're saying the old approach of broad service categories doesn't work anymore? It works for human navigation, but it fails for AI interpretation. You need both. The navigation can still be broad, but the actual content needs to be organized around specific problems and outcomes. What about technical structure? Are we talking about schema markup, meta tags, that kind of thing? Schema helps, but it's secondary. The primary issue is content architecture. I've tested this extensively. You can have perfect schema markup, but if your content is fragmented, Claude or Copilot still can't recommend you effectively. That's interesting because most SEO advice still focuses heavily on the technical side. You're saying content structure matters more?
For AI systems, absolutely. Traditional SEO optimizes for keyword matching and link authority. AI recommendation systems optimize for relevance and completeness. They need to understand not just what you do, but why someone should choose you over alternatives.
So how do you structure content to show that competitive advantage? Because most business websites are quite generic in how they present their services.
You need what I call differentiation anchors, specific details that set you apart, embedded naturally in your content. Instead of saying, "We provide excellent customer service," you'd say, "We respond to all client queries within 2 hours and provide dedicated project managers for accounts over £10,000.
Those specifics make a huge difference in recommendations. When we audit websites on rank4ai.co.uk, we often find businesses that are genuinely unique but describe themselves in completely generic terms.
And AI systems can't infer uniqueness. They need it explicitly stated. If you're the only chartered surveyor in your area who specializes in historic buildings, that needs to be clear in your content structure, not buried in a case study 3 clicks deep. Let's talk about local businesses specifically. Most of our UK clients are location dependent. How does restructuring work when you need to rank for multiple locations? This is where most businesses get it wrong. They create separate pages for each location with identical content. AI systems see this as duplicate, not comprehensive. Better to create location-aware service clusters.
What does that look like in practice?
Instead of services in London and services in Birmingham, you'd have commercial HVAC installation with location-specific case studies, regulations, and partnerships embedded throughout. The AI system understands you operate in both areas without seeing duplicate content. That's a smart approach, but it requires much more strategic thinking about content creation. You can't just template everything anymore. Exactly, and that's actually an advantage for businesses willing to invest in proper structure. Most competitors are still using the old template approach, so well-structured content stands out dramatically to AI systems.
We've seen this create almost immediate impact in AI recommendations. One client restructured their content in March, and by May they were appearing regularly in Perplexity and ChatGPT responses for their sector.
The speed of impact is remarkable compared to traditional SEO. Google might take months to recognize and rank restructured content, but AI systems often pick up changes within weeks.
Why is that? What's different about how these systems evaluate new content?
AI systems evaluate content freshness and relevance differently. They're not just looking at historical authority signals like backlinks. They're analyzing how well your content matches current query intent and provides complete answers.
So if I restructure my website today, I could see results in ChatGPT recommendations next month?
If you restructure properly, yes. But that's the key. It has to be genuine restructuring around user problems, not just repackaging the same content with different headers.
What are the most common mistakes you see when businesses try to do this themselves?
The biggest mistake is keyword stuffing. They think AI systems work like old-school SEO, so they cram keywords into restructured content. But AI systems penalize unnatural language more aggressively than Google ever did.
And the second biggest mistake?
Not thinking about user journey. They restructure for AI comprehension, but forget that humans still need to navigate and convert. You need structure that serves both audiences.
That balance is tricky. How do you test whether your restructured content is working for both AI systems and human visitors?
For AI systems, you can directly test by asking ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity questions your customers would ask, and seeing if your business appears in responses. For humans, standard conversion tracking and user behavior metrics.
That's quite different from traditional SEO testing, where you'd focus mainly on rankings and traffic.
Completely different. AI recommendation success isn't about ranking position, it's about recommendation frequency and context. You might not be the first recommendation, but if you're consistently mentioned with relevant context, that's often more valuable.
Let's talk about implementation. If someone's listening to this and wants to start restructuring, what's the first step?
Content audit focused on AI comprehension. Look at your existing pages and ask, could an AI system understand exactly what problem this solves, for whom, and why they should choose us? If not, that's your starting point.
And be honest in that assessment. We often see businesses that think their content is clear, but when you read it from an AI perspective, it's incredibly vague.
The test I recommend is simple. Show your service pages to someone unfamiliar with your business and ask them to explain what you do. If they struggle, an AI system will struggle too.
That's a practical way to evaluate it. What about timeline? How long should businesses expect this restructuring to take?
For a typical service business with 10-15 pages, you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks if you're doing it properly. That includes research, restructuring, implementation, and initial testing across AI systems.
And that's assuming they have the expertise to do it correctly. This isn't something you can delegate to your nephew who's good with computers.
Right. Understanding how AI systems interpret content requires specific knowledge of their processing methods. You need to understand the difference between how ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google AI overviews evaluate relevance. Each system has its own preferences? Absolutely. ChatGPT tends to favor conversational, problem-solution structured content. Perplexity prefers fact-dense, well-sourced information. Gemini responds well to structured data with clear hierarchies. You need to balance all of these.
That sounds complex, but I imagine the businesses that get this right early will have a significant advantage.
They already do. We're seeing restructured websites dominate AI recommendations in their sectors, while competitors with traditional structures barely get mentioned.
And this is only going to become more important as more people use AI systems for research and recommendations.
Exactly. We're at the beginning of a fundamental shift in how people discover businesses. The websites that adapt now will own their categories in AI recommendations.
For businesses that want to get started with this, what resources would you recommend?
Start by testing your current website against AI systems. Then focus on restructuring your most important service pages around specific problems you solve. The key is thinking like your customers, not like a website owner.
And if they need help with the technical implementation or strategy, that's exactly what we do at Rank4AI.
Right. we've developed specific methodologies for restructuring websites for AI recommendation systems based on extensive testing and real client results. So to summarize, this isn't optional anymore. If you want AI systems to recommend your business, you need to restructure how your content is organized and presented. The businesses that treat this as a priority now will dominate AI recommendations in their sectors. Those that wait will find themselves invisible to an increasingly important channel for customer acquisition. And the good news is that proper restructuring often improves human user experience too, so you're not sacrificing one for the other. That's the key insight. Well-structured content serves both AI systems and human visitors better than the fragmented approach most websites use today. Thanks for listening to AI Search Explained by Rank for AI. If you want help restructuring your website for AI recommendations, or you'd like us to audit how your business currently appears in AI systems, visit rankforai.co.uk. We'll be back next week with more insights on how AI is changing the way customers find businesses.